Padre. Last video I'll be shooting on this trip. Pretty much the last day of the trip. Tomorrow morning we just got to get up. You got to eat breakfast early and get off the ship. Mixing up again a sample in my bowl. Let's see if I have enough. I used up a sample and realized that might not be enough soap. Shaves have all been the same. Been using the Razor Rock 6S with a 3-plate with a feather blade. Just put in a new one, so I'll use that today and tomorrow. And then just various samples. So I don't know, I'll do a quick kind of scattershot catch up of what's been going on. 2 days ago, when we got into port, we went to Chateauneuf-du-Pape for a wine tasting, and then to Avignon for a lunch at a hotel, and then just walking around. Pretty cool. If you watch my wine video, I mentioned that European wines just really aren't my thing, so I didn't get into the wines that we were tasting, but it was cool just to see the area, see the little castles everywhere. You know, again, having a picture in your head now of when people are talking about it, you know what it looks like, stuff like that. Avignon is really cool. It's a city that is built in and around a wall that was around where the popes lived, I believe. The wall was built in like the 1400s, and it's still there. So that's the cool downtown touristy, not all touristy, but if you're going to visit Avignon, that's where you're going to visit. But it's cool, these big huge stone walls that are pretty, encompass a pretty large amount of land, and then you're just walking through these streets where they've got the stores on the bottom and people living up on top, and a mix of old and new buildings and things like that. Pretty cool. And then yesterday we had Barcelona. I probably should have done more, but it's been very warm our entire trip. And as with ocean cruises, doing these types of things where you port and the major cities are usually not right next to each other. So we've been spending a lot of time on buses and walking around in the heat and getting sweaty and stuff like that. And so I don't want to get back home feeling like as soon as we get back I need a vacation, because we were exhausted from our vacation. So I'm gonna do the rich method here of the tuck in for the shave. But like I said, we should have seen more, but they have one big huge walking pedestrian area that goes for blocks and blocks and blocks, and so we went there. There's a quick little shuttle that takes you from the cruise terminal to outside of the downtown area. So we just walked that, saw a really amazing market that their food on display was the prettiest stuff that I have ever seen. And they kind of have it divided into sections, but it's lots of little stalls, and it starts with fruits, basic to exotic, but everything, piled up exactly, and fruits cut in half, wrapped in plastic, that are on display, and then just beautiful displays of the juices you can get from them, and then into the jamon, big hams. You can't see my arms, they're really far apart, they're huge, and they'll take a big knife and slice off really thin cuts of meat for you. And then the seafood, I'm not in, I can't eat shellfish, I'm allergic to shellfish, but what they had there was just some stuff you wouldn't even recognize, and just mounds of shaved ice with just beautiful displays, everything just laid out perfect, and some of the lobsters still moving around, and it was just really cool. Anyway, we did that till about lunchtime, and then came back to the ship to relax. And so today is the last full day. It's a sea day. And the big news on the ship is Toy Story 4. So today's Friday, and I think it gets released today worldwide. But because this is Disney and they own this stuff, the first showing of it was at 11 o'clock last night. So, you know, they say you get to see it before anybody else. And people get pretty jazzed about stuff like that. So they had one showing last night that we didn't go to. We knew it would be packed. Well, my wife wants to see it, so I think they've got 6 more showings of it today. So we'll probably hit that up. They've got 2 theaters on this ship. One is their big, huge theater where they do the stage productions and stuff like that. So they did the showing last night there. And then they actually have a movie theater that's decent size, and that can do 3D. But they do other things, other presentations and talks in that theater. It's not all movies, but it's, you know, throughout the day they'll show Disney movies and you can just go in for free and watch them. But they'll be showing Toy Story 4 in 3D a couple times today there, I know. Yeah, so that's something else about the ship. You've got the big theater, the movie theater, and then outside they've got an adult pool area, and then a kids pool. The main pool area has a huge screen. If you watched the video and saw the pirate thing, you saw the big screen outside. They show movies on that throughout the day too. So, and it's bright enough in direct sunlight you can still watch the videos. Pretty cool. That's the big plans for today. They also have there's a ship tour. I think we're planning on doing this morning. It's called the Art of the Theme, and of course because it's Disney, every little detail they think of, and so I showed you before. There's Mickey heads on the towels here, and that's just, you know, all throughout the ship. Railings have Mickey, like little hidden Mickeys in them. Backs of chairs will have a design related to the restaurant, like one of the restaurants we go to is Rapunzel's something or other. And so I guess there's lanterns in the movie on her birthday. They always release these lanterns, so the lights in the restaurant are these lanterns, and the backs of the chairs have like I think it's a star or sun symbol of, I don't know what you got, her family or whatever. So those are on the backs of the chairs, and then the bread baskets along the edge of the metal bowl that they put the bread into has design specific. Anyway, everywhere, whether it's, you know, some are just in your face, the big cruise line logo on the side of the ship, but some are more subtle and you might not notice or think about it, but it's pretty cool when you do. And I was, you know, I'm not really shooting ship tours and stuff like that because there's plenty of those on YouTube. So if you want to see all the details, but it's just, you know, that's another one of the differences that's kind of cool about the Disney ships is, you know, we did this Art of the Theme tour on a different Disney ship, just down to things like the height of the ceilings. They change. So there's one deck where most of the kids clubs are. They've got there's no casino on board, which is fine with me. We wouldn't do that on board anyway. And no library, but instead of that they've got all sorts of space, of course, for kids clubs. They've got a nursery for the infants, And then depending on the ages, I think they have 3 different kids clubs. It's all the way up from basically elementary to teens have their own cool club with, you know, TV, basically a chill out lounge kind of thing. But on that deck, the ceilings are lower to kind of make the kids feel like the space is more theirs. So just, you know, thinking about stuff like that is pretty cool. So the other thing I thought of that I could briefly mention is, you know, when you know, I obviously love cruising, and I love being on the ship. This was a bit of a different cruise. Being in the Mediterranean, they call it very port heavy. So this was an 8-night cruise, and out of the 8 nights, we only have 2 what they call sea days, where you're not stopping at any ports and just on the boat all day. It's kind of a bummer for me. I'd rather have more of those days, but you know, you flew all the way here, you want to see as much as you possibly can. That's the idea. But you know, I just want to mention, when you talk about cruising with folks, there's either 2 reactions. One is, oh, I'd really love to do that sometime. We should do that. We ought to try it. And then I'm all encouraging, especially if, you know, yes, okay, Disney, top of the line. But as I mentioned before, about double the price a lot of times of other cruises. Oops, I'm doing this all out of order. I'm cleaning, whatever. But if you look at one of the 3 majors, Carnival, probably skip those guys, but Norwegian and Royal Caribbean, you look at the cost of hotel room, food, if you're going to amusement parks or whatever, kind of the entertainment that you're paying for, it's a pretty good deal, I think. But I was going to say, the other reaction is, well, I can't think of being stuck on a little ship, and I'd be claustrophobic. And you know, I would say, first, check out like a YouTube video of this stuff. See how big. Where'd my towel go? I guess I took it in the other room already. These are not small ships. And even so, people will think, well, you know, it's all enclosed. And it doesn't feel that way at all. And in terms of not having stuff to do, I get bored, things like that. What did I see? I'm screwing up here. I got to do the alum. Let's do the alum. I told you in Barcelona, kind of just did a short day because we've been running around. It's been tiring, which is cool. We get to see a lot of stuff. But when people say there's not that much to do, it's like, first of all, it depends on the itinerary you pick. You think of a cruise like this where almost every day, if you want to, as soon as the ship docks, you know, you can start getting off at like 8 in the morning until like 6 p.m. You can be off the ship seeing some foreign city or doing you know, like I said, a lot of our excursions were all day long. And then as soon as you get back, you're either just cleaning up, getting ready for dinner, watching the show, listening to music, and then you have dinner. And that's been our routine. We've got the late dining. There's early and late dining. So we get back, clean up a little bit. There's a lot of just buzz on the ship with people out doing professional photos in different locations, music playing. So we just kind of watch that for a bit. You have dinner. And as soon as dinner's over, the first like adult game show starts, and then they'll have some kind of either adult variety act in the adult areas, or we've got this really cool piano player on board right now that I like to watch. There's a Irish band that plays in another area. And then when that's over, it's like 11:30 at night. We're ready to go to bed because we've got to wake up at like 7 and do it all over again. But then they got to rinse this off. Then they've got the dance club that starts up at like 11:30 at night. So So the people that say that they would be bored, okay, maybe it's not for everybody, and that's cool. But if you don't know, you don't know. Know what I'm saying? And the last thing I'll mention is people talk about getting seasick. Dude, I am the worst at motion sickness. I have made myself sick when I'm driving in a car, when I'm in a really windy road going pretty fast. Yeah, I think I might have mentioned this on another video. Anyway, we do the patches. You see I don't have one on now because these ships are so big. We get them as a precaution. One of the tours that we did was on a smaller boat, so I wore one that day just in case that was bobbing around more, but it was fine. But these things, you feel it moving like just a little bit. It's more like just a gentle rocking. It's not like, whoa. I mean, it's on the water, you notice the movement, but the newer, bigger ships, not only are they so big, they're not moving that much. I mean, it's incredible how as soon as you get on it, you're like, I don't feel like I'm on the water. But they'll have basically wings that come out from the sides of the ship that if the seas get higher, they'll deploy those, and instead of the boat rocking like this, the wings will like do opposite of the rocking just to keep the boat flat. Anyway, so again, I wouldn't let that stop you from doing this. So I guess that's about it. I mean, I know there's so much to talk about in doing something like this. Just kind of hitting the highlights, what we've been doing, some of the things that just come to mind. So anyway, like I said, I'll post a lot of pictures, share that with the cadre sometime after we get back. So today we're just kind of chilling out. Hopefully we'll hit the adult area. They got some nice comfy outdoor couches and stuff like that. Just take the Kindle and watch the ocean go by. Toy Story 4. Anyway, won't be able to upload this video since we're at sea. Nobody has cell service until we get back home, I think. Anyway, hope everything's going good. I'll catch up with you guys next week. See you on the forums then.